So the first non-Star Wars topic we have is this, the data retention thing for I think, is it national or is it just New South Wales?
No, it has been a law that's centred at the federal level, because at federal level or at the Commonwealth level, that's where they work on internet stuff. Because as a communicative medium, it's a national.
It's a federal thing. It's not really. They don't bother with it with the state.
Well, it's a national resource, so it's probably best dealt with at a federal level. Hence, something that's kind of got to govern or regulate how the whole country works.
Yeah. So in Australia here, the data retention scheme has come out, which handles all the metadata and stuff. And from what I understand, it is very, they don't screen your phone calls or anything. They won't get any sort of information from the phone calls. But I think with phones, they go how long the call was for, who the number was to, who the number was from, and stuff like that. Same with Facebook messages. No message content, but it will, it will have the details there. And frankly, if you're on Facebook anyway, they probably know all there is to know anyway, because Facebook are scumbags.
Yeah.
And I think it's disgusting. I think it is horribly, horribly disgusting as a breach of privacy. And it's not a matter of, I've got nothing to hide. It's just a matter of, you shouldn't be invading my fucking space in the first place.
I mean, I'm always kind of dubious about that argument about, it's the principle of the thing. Because when you say it's the principle of the thing, I mean, how many battles are you going to fight when it's always based on principle? But I think it is that idea of this actually being something that's an invasion of privacy. I mean, you're living in a civilized country. You've got a state looking after you. I guess the quid pro quo and all of that is how much of your freedom you're willing to give up in order to remain within a statutory order. But I kind of get the sense that that maybe retaining and keeping and accessing this data might be overstepping a bit of that line. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so they don't get all the message content. They don't record your phone calls and shit like that. So they're not stepping over that boundary where people are being fucking monitored. It's not quite like 1984. I think it's just asking for trouble, and it's just like, as much as I hate using the term, it's very sort of police state, nanny state sort of stuff. The point that I'm really getting at is that, 1984 and, shall we say, other contemporaries should not be used as a manual to govern a country.
I do want to see the contents of your porn log, though, Luke. I think that's a matter of national interest.
Lots of anal.
Yeah?
Lots of anal, occasionally a sheep.
Well, I think it's important that you declare that, Luke.
I just did. We're doing a podcast.
Yeah. Good. It's
seriously, Lexi Bella's my homegirl. No, she's not the sheep.
Okay.
That's Dolly.
All right. Yeah.
Such soft fur.
How deep does this hole go, Luke?
Eh?
How deep does this hole go?
Depends how big the guy's dick is, really.
Yeah.
So data retention. It's disgusting.
I'm glad that we came up with such professional analysis of such a contentious issue.
We are sticklers for professionalism here at Ruku and M Studios, where we can both talk about a very important topic and it
ends up involving a dick.
Pretty much my career at this point, really.
Well, it's about being consistent.
Yeah, consistency is key. Absolutely, it would actually help if I could actually pronounce consistently.
I've noticed. How to pronounce consistently? Well, you got to pronounce consistently in a consistent fashion.
Shut up. Funnily enough, you actually brought up a very good point, mentioning how deep the hole goes. Because how deep can it fucking go? Is it going to get to a point where we are being recorded? Is it going to get to a point where absolutely everything is logged? Basically, is me inviting you over to do this podcast now a matter of national security? Eventually.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where our podcasts go, we can end up saying some very subversive things, and that might be seen as a security issue.
I just talked about fucking a sheep. All bets are off.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think that Australia is a fairly cruisy and non-judgmental society, but there might be a select few out there that might have an issue with bestiality. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's maybe to bring it back to a more serious tone. I mean, with those laws, I think there is a bit of a difficulty trying to work out where that threshold lies. You know, how much a government is entitled to survey your data, how much it's allowed to look at and access, and what's the reason behind looking at that? You know, is it for the sake of being a peeping Tom, or is there actually credible reasons for doing that? I'm not necessarily sure that the law covers those grounds to be able to access that data.
And I'm sorry, but terrorism isn't a reason.
Well, what's terrorism?
What? One extremist shoots up a coffee shop, and apparently we're under attack by extremists.
I think in many ways the discussion that we just had a couple of minutes ago could be considered very, very terrorist in the ears of many of our listeners. You know, like animals that may or may not be involved in your everyday affairs, that could be very harsh listening. You could be branded as a terrorist for that very act. Well, so, I mean, terrorism is a very subjective term.
But it's okay, because I'm white.
Yeah.
At the end of the fucking day, you know. That's what shits me, honestly, about this whole thing, because as soon as nobody has a go at an extremist Christian and expects him to apologise. And expects the greater Christian community to apologise for the actions of one piece of shit fucking extremist. With Muslims, like the dude who shot up, I forget his name, don't care, it was a scumbag, the good dude who shot up bloody Martin Place, you know, all of a sudden every single Muslim is expected to apologise for the actions of that one person. Fuck that. I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
Well, I mean, there was that incident at Martin Place at the end of last year, and there was also a recent incident that happened at Parramatta not too long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they were very tragic incidents in both occasions, but I suppose what I was particularly observant of when both of those events unfolded was the fact that it immediately became framed, like through the media, as a terrorist incident. And I mean, maybe I can be generalising here, but I'm just thinking, and like if we're gonna introduce a bit of race into it, I wonder that if it was a white person that actually attributed to those incidents, that whether or not it'd be an automatic, we'd start having a narrative about it being a terrorist, or was it just an isolated incident by some wacko?
That's the best part though. Alright? If you're a white guy, you're just a lone wolf, you're a maniac, you're a whatever. As soon as you, put the guy in a friggin', give the guy a beard, put him in the hat thing, give him, and throw up an ISIS flag, is a terrorist. Or throw up some sort of Muslim paraphernalia. Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
So
I'm sorry, a lone gunman is a lone gunman is a lone gunman. Doesn't matter whether he's black, white, yellow, pink, green.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
I'm kind of...
A terrorist attack is 9/11. We have not had a terrorist attack here for...
the last 5 minutes, anyway.
For the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we're about to start one.
Yeah. But
please don't kill us.
I think at the end of the day, I like to think that I'm a fan of let the facts support the assessment. Rather than a lot of assumptions kind of getting in the way of making a decision. I mean, if we start off by having the facts, let's kind of like go from there. To keep it as simple as that, I reckon that's a start.
Yeah. I remember just going back to the Martin Place shooting, that fucking good old Rupert, good old Murdoch. He was masturbating with fucking glee over that happening, because Daily Telegraph is that what he runs? Fairfax?
No, Fairfax is a different guy.
Right.
Rupert Murdoch's...
I thought he ran Fairfax. Or does he do news media?
No.
Something.
Fairfax is a separate media organisation altogether. Rupert Murdoch is part of something called News Corp.
News Corp. Thank you. So, because we have a newspaper here called the Daily Telegraph. Not worth reading, honestly. It's right-wing fucking propaganda.
But you can't necessarily avoid it. It's like when you're in a shower, suddenly you'll see an edition just morph out of a wall. That's how it works in Australia. It's
pretty much
very scary, isn't it?
It's like really it's really like a self-distributing fucking Watchtower magazine, really. Anyway, Rupert Murdoch, he owns the Daily Telegraph, and apparently they were the first ones on the scene for the Martin Place shooting. And I remember a tweet, I'm going to put it up in the video, where he was basically just, giving himself a huge pat on the back because his boys were there first. It's like, so you're happy about this?
It's not a competition, Rupert.
Fucking sort yourself out, mate. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I do remember that. I mean, the Twitter did come out, but he comes out with quite interesting Twitters. I think these days Rupert tends to rule by force of Twitter. Would you kind of agree with that view?
I think he more annoys by force of Twitter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially lefty ratbags such as ourselves.
Yeah.
Such as yourself. I don't even know what the fuck I am anymore. I know I'm not right wing, and that's the main thing. I'm not one of the bad guys.
We know what your sexual preference is. That's what we've learnt so far today.
I miss Dolly.
Yeah. I know. But,
So back to data retention. Is there like... why? We don't need it. Honestly.
Yeah. I think
it's a very knee-jerk reaction to shit going on in the world. And that's what it comes down to. It's very just knee-jerk, and it's a band-aid fix to make sure that we're all acting all nice and happy and not shooting up places.
Well, often...
It's a bit shit.
Often one of the things about laws is that you don't really tend to get an idea of how effective they are once they're actually enforced. But one of the things that I am very curious about with laws that intend to regulate internet use is how the fuck do you actually police it, and we're also seeing that as well with I think it's this section 115 law that's come through, that where in the future it makes movie proprietaries and companies and screening people, it makes it a lot easier for them to sue stuff that it's actually put out on the internet for file sharing and downloading. You're talking about the groups like Pirate Bay and Kick-Ass Torrents, like trying to sue to try to block that kind of access. But I am wondering about, you can come up with laws to say that that's bad, but how do you necessarily police it? Because, that law has been out for a little while. And
well, the thing is that you can't. If you build a great rat trap, you're just going to get better rats.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
And like I think the data retention thing is a bit, like, it's easily fooled by VPNs and stuff anyway. Like, I've got a VPN on my phone to watch Netflix, for fuck's sake. Like, it's not hard to get around. And that's what I don't think, like, how much can you lock it down before it becomes a full-on invasion of privacy? And that's what I don't think these guys are getting. You can't lock it down without severely locking it down like bloody China does.